Okay, okay. Good good evening, all those who are joining. Good evening to you all. And I presume that most of you are well this evening. Islam to you, my Moorish brothers and sisters. Islam. Islam to you. Okay, okay. Good evening once again. Good evening once again to my Moorish brothers and sisters, to you Moors who are on the social media, Facebook, YouTube, and on Instagram. If you realize, I put it up at the bottom of the screen, is a Dr. Matthews-Bey show. Well, it's Bay on Instagram. So just like how I type it in, you see it at the bottom of the screen. That's Instagram page where I am on presently. So it's two Instagram pages that I have. But, you know, tonight I'm broadcasting on this one. So to those who want to see me much clear, clearly and listen to me, I'm on Instagram too. So good evening to you. I want to get deep into discussion tonight. So let me start right away. Islam to you, brothers and sisters. Islam to those who are watching. Good night to those who are like looking at this live stream out of the Corporation of Guyana. My Guyanese brothers and sisters, subject or Guyanese citizens in the whole. I wanted to bounce upon a few things that are a little bit much distorting some way or the other. But you got to get to the bottom of it. Now, there are two things that are happening. One of them is that in a democracy, which was created to the subjects of that particular autocracy, which is part of a democracy, there are rules, there are constitutional rules that you have to follow in a democracy. One of them is that if you cannot get the vote, if there's a certain amount of percentages that cannot vote and would not turn up to vote, you cannot rule. The democracy says so. In other words, you cannot be a manager of a plantation to manage those subjects of the plantation, which automatically would be slaves. If you cannot have your subjects to come out and work to further push your democracy, well, then there is no democracy. According to the Constitution, if 50% or more does not come out to vote, no one can become leader, according to the Constitution of the Ghana Public Service Corporate Credit Union. I think it's the GPCCU. The reasons why I said so, because, and they're not even asking for 50% of the 20,000 strong members of the Ghana Public Service Corporate Credit Union. They're not even asking for that. They're asking for 5,000. Out of 20,000, they're asking for 5,000 people to turn up. So you can get that process working. You don't even get half of 25,000. I'm sorry, you don't even get half of 5,000, which is 500. You don't even get, you barely get 25 people. It is the same strategy that is going to work, that you now supposed to open your eyes and realize that politically that can work too. So I say that to say this. If, hold on. And now just get some breaking news. I gotta read it. Oh my God. If no one turns up to be a part of that voting structure, well, then nothing, no electoral system can work. That means there are no government, because less than 50% of the people, less than 50% of the people is going to turn out to vote. That's one. So if 5,000 can't turn up to vote out of 20,000, well, then there's no election in the Ghana Public Service. In the Ghana Public Service Corporate Credit Union. So, Miss Van Slytman, for you to become chair wouldn't work, and it cannot work. Now we're going to fast forward now to the de facto regime of Guyana. Now they want to create new electoral laws that they can break up regions 3, 4, 5, and 6 into subdivisions. Do you know why they're breaking up 3, 4, 5, and 6 into subdivisions? They can't even break up region 10. Why they're breaking up regions 4, 5, and 6 into subdivisions? The People's Progressive Terrorist Party realized that. You know, they claim to have 41 or 42% of the electorate, which is a majority in the Indo-Asian or the East Asian community that votes for them. So now they realize now they don't have a constituency because most of their electorate would have left the country. So this is what they're claiming now. They're claiming that they have 42.4% of the electorate, and the APNU AFC has 42.2% of the electorate. Now, let us put this into common sense. Let us say if they run off a regional election now, because according to their statistics, both them, the APNU AFC, have an equal amount of playing field. They got 42.4%, and the AFC has 42.2%. The APNU AFC has 42.2%, and they got 42.4%. That's what they're claiming now. That means to tell you that they don't have an electorate. That's one. Here was their problem now. And here what's going to be their problem. Let us say if the opposition refused to contest the election, with their electorate withdrawn from going to the election. Number one, you cannot have a de facto regime, or you cannot have a government, because the government must consist of being elected to a position when more than 60% of the electorate comes out to vote. More than 60% of the electorate, or not less than 60% of the electorate comes out to vote. So when that happens, there can be no government. Because if you add 42.4%, to some other understanding, there are some serious problems. They are in some serious problems. I don't know. There's a lot of things that it's hindering the People's Progressive Terrorist Party. A lot of things that are hindering them. One of them is they're not politicians, they are dictators. Politicians are those who play to the rules of a democracy, which democracy is authoritarian. Dictators do not sign on to democracy. They signed on to terrorism. So there's a difference, you know. You got those who are considered terrorists, like the People's Progressive Terrorist Party, because they're not politics. They're not the noble few that democracy talks about. It's impossible. They don't know how to lie to you, so they will take from you. They will rob you. They're thieves. That's who they are. All of them in the National Assembly of the Corporation of Guyana, and those who take up ministerial positions and the CEO of the corporate Republic of Guyana. All of them, they're thieves. And that's who dictators are. Dictators are thieves. And the people who they claim to have control over, their subjects, do see these things on a day-to-day basis. But what happens with them? Apparently, they're unable to confront these thieves, these dictators of what they're doing. This is daylight brought daytime thievery. So they're trying to work. They can't crack the Constitution. They can only reform it. And the reforming of a Constitution can only be done in a better standard or grade. But there's no reformation to slavery, really. It's just to reform. It's just to tell you, well, look, there's a standard that which I can deprive you of so I can own you more. So that is what they're doing. So they want to break up 3, 4, 5, and 6 into subdivisions because they know very well they cannot win an election based upon a returning district. They know that. So this is the thing. If no one contests the election and people stay home, stay away from the elections, well, then there's no elected government. It's impossible for them to be elected. They're not electable. It's like what happened today in the Guyana Public Service Commission yesterday, I mean, as a matter of fact. Just like what happened yesterday. No one turned up. 25 people, only them turned up. No one turned up an election, couldn't run off. So what happened? The head of the board and the board becomes domiciled. Null and void. No elections happen. So to constitute themselves as a board of the Guyana Public Service Credit Union, they cannot, because the main the main constitutive activity did not happen, which is an election. So it cannot constitute their legality on the board as a board of directors of the Guyana Public Service. union. So it's the same thing in the Constitution of the Corporate Republic of Guyana. Because the Guyana Public Service Corporate Credit Union cannot have a recognized board. That election did not take place. Why did you think that Mr. Ramatar in his early days had to prorogue the parliament? And he waited for actually nearly 5 years to call an election. Because his party didn't have the majority in parliament. But because of the constitutional rules, you cannot have two parties joining together after the election. They have to join before the election. So they make up a majority in parliament, but the government was a minority government. They could not have gone into power. They did not have the electorate behind them because there's no constituency that they can hold on to that can give them a majority. It's the same thing that they're running into right now. I don't know what is the reason they're having a board of a commission of inquiries into the election. They don't even have a majority. So when you hold a commission of inquiry, where are they getting that majority from? From the University of Islot with a fraud Ali went to? Oh boy. That's supposed to be a hell of a hobby or an amazing fraction. I don't know. I specifically wouldn't know. So if a regional and general election supposed to take place, well, then nobody's supposed to go because they're trying to hold local government. They send that local government election is holding on in 2023, which is next year. I don't think any political party should participate in that. None whatsoever. None. Because if you can't have a proper democratic standard for the enslavement process, it makes no sense. Well, the thing is that talking in this way becomes a little hard for me because it's impossible for me to now to encourage a democracy when there's no democracy. At least the comprehension of democracy is different from what is explained to us than what is on the legal substance, which is the piece of paper. Because if you know what is democracy, which is written on that piece of paper, you wouldn't even want to participate in it. Because democracy is an authoritarian rule by a few. And then authoritarian rule comes about by what you call suppression. But now we have it in another way around, where you have a dictatorship trying to grab at the suppressed oppression of a people. Well, then, this is what's supposed to happen. Let's look at it. Let's be straight. If nobody goes to vote, but then you wouldn't have a suppressed oppression. You won't have a government to suppress you because they cannot. Because less than 60% went out to vote. Less than 50, less than 40. So you cannot have an electorate. You cannot have an elected government to suppress and oppress you. So you stay away from the electoral system. Because at the end of the day, it's not good for you. It's not giving you anything. Anyhow, you're not benefiting from it. It's not doing anything for you. It is hard to say what I'm saying, but yes, it is not doing anything for you. You know, I was looking at a few areas that maybe I can chip in here and there now and then. But at the end of the day, the Aboriginal people of this land is not benefiting at all. At all. If you're not benefiting, it is best you take no part in the political system. It's best you take no part in the corporate Republic of Guyana, which is a, how should I put it, which is a corporation. You're not benefiting from it because you're a corporate society, a corporate civilization that belongs to corporations, which is called Guyana. But if you're not benefiting from it, why should you go and vote for something that you're not benefiting from? You guys ever think about it? Why should you go stand in line and vote for people? Or if you don't vote for somebody, vote for somebody else. If at the end of the day you're not benefiting. I mean, the wisest thing I've ever heard Mr. Norton talks about or spoken about was that of not turning up to vote or not turning up to participate in an electorate or an election. That's the wisest thing. Do not contest in any one of the elections. So then you wouldn't have a government. If you don't contest, there's nobody to contest, there's nobody to rule, there's no constitution. If the people of the state, of the people of the corporation does not go to vote, well, then there's no constitution. If there's no constitution, there's no government. It's simple. Nobody can oppress you, nobody can spend no money, nobody can do nothing because the people in frustration refuse to go and vote, refuse to participate in the electoral system. The people refuse to choose a government of their choice. That's the most wisest thing I can tell anybody because now we're seeing the repercussions of the example by the Guyana Public Service Corporate Credit Union or the corporate credit union that belongs to Guyana Public Service. Now we're seeing the benefits of it, of not turning up to vote, not turning up to participate in an electoral process because you're tired of the leadership of the credit union. Now imagine if you do that. If you do that in a regional and general election when no one turns up to vote, a nation out of the voting population supposed to be, supposedly you're supposed to be roughly 500,000 people. That's the voting population. If 1,000 people turn up to vote, that is because of their own choice. If 200,000 people turn up to vote, well, hey, it's still ain't got a government of 200,000. If 250,000 turn up, it's still ain't got a government. You know what? The Constitution now becomes null and void because the Constitution becomes strong every time you have a new president after an electoral system. And that president activates the Constitution again because of the voice, the choice of the people. The Constitution says the people is the power for the Constitution. They enact the Constitution. They make the Constitution strong. That is what it says. The last I checked it says so. So this is the thing I want to ask. Now, if a fraud Barrett Jackfield and Mr. Nandalai and all of these people depend upon your vote to give them power as an example to the Constitution and a democratic system. But then who really got the power? Who really are those who wield power in every corporation? It's the people. Because if the people don't vote for you, well, then there's no government. If the people didn't turn out to vote, well, no political party sees power. You cannot have a president because he's not the executive anymore. He cannot speak on behalf of the people. The people now speak by absenting themselves from a most crucial time, which you call an election time, in every corporation. That signs on to the democratic standard of the United Nations Convention. So you can't have a government. There's no money to steal. You can't thief nothing. Because who gives you the permission to? You get my point now. So which powers are you exercising? Which powers are you exercising? Tell me. Oh Lord, these people using a hard brush, they bleach soap and water and rubbing the daylight out of your brain. That's still you're seeing it. A simple example of what Mr. Trevor Ben did yesterday. Told the supporters of the Ghana Public Service Corporate Credit Union who wants to change, not to turn up to vote, not to turn up to the meeting yesterday at Central High School. There on Hatfield, there on Princess Street between Smythe and I think it's Ketley Street. No. Yeah, between Ketley and High Street. I think that's where it was. It's between Smythe on Princess Street, between Smythe and High Street. Before you made the Amman hostel. And they're not transparent enough to have other polling places all over the 10 region. They only got it one place. Then Miss Van Slyton. Oh Lord of mercy. Believe you me. Saying that she doesn't know when they're going to hold another election. She has no power now because she was never elected to this position. See what I'm talking about? The people have to give you that power. Now they're seeing what power is. Now they're looking at power. They're seeing it in its fullness of terms. The people speak by not turning up to participate in any meeting and any electoral process. But if you did that now to this de facto administration, there's no president, there's no executive, there's no finance minister, there's no nothing. The country has to go into what you call a caretaker process until you can elect a credible individual to become president. Because all political parties refuse to contest in the election, thus paving a way for no executive or no president of the corporate republic. Okay. Imagine that is happening. No one turns up. No contesting political parties to contest the regional general election when then there is nothing left. No executive. If fraud can't be president, can't walk around. You can imagine, you can't even rig the election. Because there's nobody. So what are you rigging? You can't even rig the elections. There's nobody there. So I would like to see what happens when we call an election and people doesn't turn out to vote because absenteeism of the political party to contest the election. I wonder what will happen to all of dead people who are going to turn up and vote. I really wonder what's going to happen. Do not turn up to vote. Election time is around the corner. These people are now seeing the truth. Hold them. Hold your elected representatives accountable. Hold them accountable. Grasp within your grip the chronologies of dictatorship and throw it overboard because that's where it deserves. Do not be disheartened. Gather your strength, my people. Gather thy strength. Read, comprehend what is totally yours in rights and powers. Do just like me. Allow yourselves to be edified about the truth. Work towards it. Go after it because it's rightfully yours. It belongs to you. These people are taking advantage of a people that lives in fear, that does not know what to do, does not know how to say it, because they know that you are ignorant of the fact. Ignorant means not being knowledgeable of the fact. They know that, and they know that their own constituencies fall under the same bracket. They know these things, and they capitalize on it. And they fill you in fear for you to resist the truth because there's so much fear. It is the same strategy. Mind you, The things that are happening now that you see around the world, those are the facts. And it's happening. It will happen. If you do not stand up now, not only to know the truth, but stand up for the truth and nothing else but the truth, you will be fed lies and poison. And there and then they will steal your rights from you. They're already doing it with the propaganda machine. He who controls the information that goes to, to the gathering of the few controls the world. That's what's happening. They can get to the national television and say what they want to because they know thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are looking at it. So they know that the ideologies are going to capture your mind and indoctrinate you some more. The matter of fact is there are so many things that are going on, degrading society's strength for people. My Aboriginal people, my Aboriginal Moors, my Aboriginal Indigenous people, melanated people, my Bantu people listening to me. Get yourself out of this black awareness, this Black Lives thing doesn't mean nothing. Black lives, black awareness belongs to the system. It was created to identify you, their slave. When you say I'm black or I'm Afro, still identify you, their slave. Get yourself out of this thing. It's indoctrination is what is killing you. It's destroying you from within. Listen to those who are not wasting time, but taking their time to edify you even more. Look at it. One man tell an entire organization of 20,000 people, that's 4 seats in the National Assembly. One man. That's too much power. One man called Trevor Ben. I'm sure that other political leaders are looking. I'm sure that other political leaders are looking. Even to the opposition leader, I think he's looking. One man called Trevor Ben spoke to the entire membership of an organization of 20,000. That's 4 seats in the National Assembly. Tell them, look, y'all don't go to no general meeting on Monday. It's a sham. Stay away. They still hold a general meeting and a requirement of 5,000 each to spend for electoral costs. They didn't even get half of the 5,000. They Karen Van Skype didn't even get 2,500. Now she cannot speak to the leadership of the organization because she's not the leader anymore. The constitutional process in order for you to claim yourself as a chairman to the board of directors to the Ghana Public Service Corporate Credit Union is null and void because you were never elected to the position. So you cannot have executive powers of the position. Now she is the domicile, null and void. put that position now that the Ghana Public Service Corporate Credit Union is in right now without a leader because they have not constitutionally fulfilled their standings according to the Constitution of the Ghana Public Service Corporate Credit Union. Put that now to the country, which the Constitution says you have to have more than 60% of the electorate so an election can be called. Imagine if you fail to turn up to go and vote, more than 50% decide to say, well, look, I ain't got enough vote. There's no one that you fraud or you can constitute its executive powers to. You can't spend the money. You can't drive the government car. You can't eat taxpayers' food. You can't do nothing. You can't even call himself the vice president because the people decide to stay home and not vote. The people decide to stay home and not vote, making the government of the day de facto. They can't even declare themselves winner of any regional general elections without the people, which is the Constitution. Oh no, but they're not going to tell you that. Now you see it. Now you see what I've been telling most of you since a couple of months last year before the last. If the people decide to stand up, who is the Constitution and speak out, the de facto regime doesn't have a choice. Now you see scramble for power. The Ghana Public Service Corporate Credit Union. Cooperative Credit Union, yes. One man met at least 19,000 people stay away. One man. One man made 19,000 people, 20,000 people as a matter. It's a 19, 20. Because I'll be honest with you, you even had 100 people out there today. If you are more than 100, because if not today, yesterday, because if you add up those who were election observers and election workers for the ballot boxes and all these things, if you add them up, the filling consists of 100 people. You barely had 25 people out there yesterday. So you couldn't run off an election. Not even, you could imagine Ms. Van Slytman, he even had people to support her to come out there and vote. Because the Ghana Public Service Credit Union consists of members who are supporting you. Now she knows who, even if by fairness, she puts out the information out there that she's running for an election, which she was, and she's looking for her supporters, she can't even find them. The supporters didn't even come out. If she have any, the mission got none at all. Nobody likes her. She and those who are following her, nobody likes. I mean, how can you call yourself the chairperson or the chairman or the CEO? Not really the CEO, the chairman that have been elected by the members of the Ghana Public Service Corporate Credit Union. There's nobody there to support you. Imagine now a regional and general election Imagine a regional and general election. Nobody's there to support you. None whatsoever is there to support you. Even if you say I've got your own constituency, Miss Van Dyke didn't have a constituency. They had nobody to turn up there to help to support her. Not even 5,000. You're supposed to get at least 5,000 people. No one. Thought yesterday had become a sounding brass and a tingling symbol was an embarrassment. And you still want to call yourself CEO. Take a good look at what's going on in your country, your corporate system. A man who claims to be the president was not elected. He had nobody there to support him, to give him that support. Because his country, they don't have the PPP doesn't even have a constituency. You could imagine. They're looking now to say that they got, well, they so-called black supporters. They're looking now to say they got black supporters. So suddenly, because they ain't got these East Asian supporters anymore. They can't bank up on the Spanish because the Spanish doesn't want anything to do with Guyana. They're coming here to spend at least 3 months to proceed to another country. They ain't even stopping friends. Yes, the renting places, yes, they're doing all they're doing in Guyana, in Georgetown especially. But if you check it, they ain't even staying. As they go, other follows and replace them for a couple of months and they go. The Haitians ain't even want nothing to do with the electoral system because they are seeing it in their own country. And the Spanish that I'm talking about consists of Venezuelans and the Cubans. They ain't want nothing. Make it, it was the most laughable item. Not even the Brazilians who are here long before them. Doesn't want anything to do with the electoral system. Is this the corporation that you call Guyana? Well, must it's me who's a Moor. I doesn't want anything to do with any electoral because we Moors, we own the land we live on. You came here and meet us, so we don't want to participate in these electoral scams to oppress the people, to enslave them. We don't want anything to do with that. So people, I say this, I tell you this, I say this to tell you that if you cannot learn now from the things that's supposed to take you to knowledge, advantage of certain things, if you cannot see it now, but then I don't know when you can see it. Because Mr. Trevor Ben shows you clearly how to do things. Oh, you want to take over a system. Do you know why that they're putting so much pressure on Mr. Trevor Ben? Because he's now making the banks compete to a corporate credit union. Because the banks doesn't want to give the Aboriginal people loans. They don't want them to become a stature in society, an important electorate body. The banks works with the politicians. Every business works with the political body. So because Mr. Trevor Ben is doing the exact thing, they don't like him anymore. So they got to get rid of him. But here's the problem. Can't get rid of him that easy because the people now are saying that's their leader. So to those who are in the political arena, to see how people follow people. First, I heard Mr. Norton says if there's no, if there's no, what's the word I want to use? If there's no new electoral list, his party would never contest in any election. That alone should send a warning. The AFC said that slightly, and I think they kind of rebutted on the position. But that's the fact. The fact should always be the fact. It's simple. And why, if you want to renew the electoral list, well, and we contest in elections, we can sit down and rock back and see who you don't go for. When less than 50% of the country go out to vote. It's not in keeping with the Constitution. Who you going to go for? Who the people you can go for? Because they went out, they're going out and vote. You can't force them to go and vote. There's no law that you can create that say, but if you don't go and vote, you're going to be jailed. So what's going to happen there, boy? What's going to happen there? How they going to work out? They're skinty. They'll have a bunch of stupidness you see taking place in this corporation to call Guyana. By the way, I had a wonderful conversation tonight with you guys on this topic. And I want to say thank you to those who have joined. Stay safe, be careful, sanitize yourself, wear a mask. This is Dr. Matthews-Bey saying thank you very much to all those who would have supported this live stream and shared this live stream tonight. Remember, this program comes to you with a kind compliment of event management service being used distributors and Black Lives. Don't forget that if you want when you take them into public places, always wear a mask. This is Dr. Matthews-Bey from the Dr. Matthews-Bey Show. Good night and cheerios for now.